Greetings. So, this is the third part of the word to word meaning and commentary on the Ganapati Upanishad of the Atharva Veda. So, in the previous part, we went through the word to word meaning and commentary on the Shanti Patha, which is recited prior to the Upanishad. Here, we will actually start with the verse of the Upanishad itself. So let us go. As said earlier in the first episode, in the first part, since this Upanishad belongs to an extinct branch of the Atharva Veda, the exact way to learn, which means to recite this Upanishad, is not known. Hence, there are many versions to this Upanishad's recitation with varying swaras. So when I recite the verses, they may not necessarily tally with the version that you are familiar with, and this is the reason to it. Nevertheless, let's start off with the first verse. Om Namaste Ganapataye. Now, this verse itself is recited as Om Lam Namaste Ganapataye in certain traditions of South Karnataka. For example, in Sringeri. If you watch the videos or the live recitation from Sringeri, you will notice that they add the bija lam in this verse. Lam is the very seed sound that awakens the Mooladhara Chakra, whose presiding deity is Lord Ganesha. Om, the primordial sound of the universe, the sound form of the absolute consciousness. In fact, the entire Vedas is simply an expansion of the sound Om. Om, which constitutes A, U, M, and silence, is the core sound structure which makes up the universe. Namaste comes from Namaha plus Te. Namaha itself comes from Na and Maha. Na means not. Maha means me. Therefore, Namaha means not me. So when we recite Namaha or when we utter Namaha, it is a process, a powerful sound combination which helps to disidentify ourselves from all illusions of the body and mind and to bring the realization that we are Atma. Te means you. So Ganapataye refers to Lord Ganapati. So when we recite Om Namaste Ganapataye, we first empty ourselves so that we get filled by the grace of Lord Ganapati when we surrender to him. It is like all the illusions and cognitions about ourselves is like a cup filled with muddy water. Now, in order to fill the cup with pure milk, which is pure consciousness, which is the ultimate truth, we have to empty the dirty water from the mug. And that process is simply what we can refer to as the utterance of Namaha. Namaha is crudely translated to salutation, but that's a very crude and superficial translation. Now, Maha means not me. Not me. This is not me. Whatever I have cognized about myself, that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the thoughts, all this is not me. I am pure consciousness. And when we add the deity's name, Ganapataye, we invoke and fill ourselves with the grace of Lord Ganapati. So we empty ourselves and fill ourselves with the grace of Lord Ganapati. Next verse. Tvameva pratyaksham tattvamasi. Tvameva, which means Tvam plus Eva, which means you alone. Pratyaksham comes from Prati and aksham, which literally means in front of the eyes. It means manifestation, something which literally manifests in front of us. Tattvam, which means principle. Asi, which means are, meaning you are that absolute consciousness, Brahman, Godhood, anything you may call it. So the meaning is you alone are the very manifestation of the absolute consciousness, Brahman or God. Tvameva kevalam kartasi. Tvameva, which means you only. Kevalam, which means only. Karta, which means doer. Asi, which means are. So the meaning here is you alone are the doer. Meaning you alone are the causer of everything. Anything that happens, you are the very underlying principle which causes it to happen. Tvameva kevalam dhartasi. Tvameva, we saw. Kevalam, also we saw. Dharta, which means maintainer. Asi, which means are. So here it means you alone are the sustainer, the preserver. Next verse. Tvameva kevalam hartasi. Tvameva, we saw. Kevalam, again we saw. Harta, which means destroyer. Now that's in negative context in the English language. So let us put it as obliterator. Right? So he, or the cause of dissolution, right? To dissolve something rather than destroy. Asi, which means are. So here the verse means you alone are the dissolver. So in these three verses, we identify Lord Ganesha as Brahman, or the absolute consciousness, or Atma. The absolute consciousness that creates, sustains, and dissolves the universe. Now, another interesting part, Lord Ganesha is also referred to as Viknaharta and Viknakarta. He does not only remove obstacles, but even creates obstacles when needed. As we saw in the verse, he is also the causer of something. So he is the very causer of an apparent obstacle. So Lord Ganesha creates obstacles to prevent us from doing something which may incur an inauspicious experience. So Lord Ganesha removes as well as creates obstacles when necessary. Next verse. Tvameva sarvam khalvidam brahmasi. Tvameva, which means you only. Sarvam, which means everything. Khalu, which means indeed. Idam, which means this. Brahma, which means absolute consciousness in reference to Brahman. Asi, which means are. Now this verse means you are verily the absolute consciousness which is all inclusive. So here we understand that everything is absolute consciousness. That consciousness is all inclusive, and when it is all inclusive, everything, literally everything, is a manifestation of the absolute consciousness or Godhood, Brahman. God is a substance through which the matrix of creation and materialization happens. Material creation takes form of the beads which are sourced on a common string which runs through it subtly. Hence, everything is in real Brahman only. Brahman is the underlying string through which all beads of different colors and shapes which resemble the observable universe we see. So underlying the very underlying principle behind the observable universe, the cosmos, is the absolute consciousness, who is literally Lord Ganapati. Next verse. Tvam sakshadatmasi nityam. Tvam, which means you. Sakshat, sa and akshat, which means before the eyes. Atma, which can be translated to Atma. Atma is literally absolute consciousness. Asi, which means are. Nityam, which means eternal. So here, you are verily the eternal Atma, which is manifest in front of us. So the very Atma, which is Brahman, which is consciousness, which is God, which is soul, is manifest in front of us, and that manifestation is Lord Ganesha. Next, Ritam Vachmi, Satyam Vachmi. Okay, so here Ritam means cosmic order, Satyam means truth, Vachmi means shall speak. So here the verse means I shall utter that which is in parallel to the cosmic order and truth. Now, Ritam and Satyam are like two sides of the same coin. They appear to resemble the same meaning, but rather they are quite different from one another. Cosmic order, which is Ritam, refers to that which tallies with the rhythm of the cosmos. Perhaps the English word rhythm comes from this Vedic rhythm. It is raw truth. For example, the cosmic order in regards to the solar system is to have the planets orbit around the sun in perfect geometry. This is an example of rhythm, a cosmic law, a cosmic order. Satyam refers to truth. It can be compromised to societal norms, rules, emotions, and moral. So Satyam is something which is more of a social impact, right? Satyam. What Satyam is like a principle which a person holds. Next verse. Avatvam avavaktaram avashrotaram avadataram avadhataram avanuchanam avashishyam. Ava, which means protect. Tvam, which means you. Mam, which means me. Vaktaram, which means the one who speaks, the one who recites this Upanishad in this context. Shrotaram, which means the one who listens in this context, the one who listens to the recitation of this Upanishad. Dataram, the one who gives, means the one who gives this Upanishad or teaches this Upanishad. Dhataram, which means the one who supports that which has been given. Anuchanam, which means teacher. In this context, the teacher of the Vedas, and this Upanishad, to be specific, the teacher of this Upanishad. Shishyam, the disciple, the student who learns the Vedas. In this context, the Upanishad itself. So this stanza is a declaration to have the reciter of the Upanishad, the listener to this Upanishad, the provider, the supporter, the teacher, and the disciple to have protection. May all these entities be protected. Next, avapaschat ta'ate, avapurastate, avottarat ta'ate, avadakshinat ta'ate, avachordvat ta'ate, avadharat ta'ate, sarvato mam pahi pahi samantate. Ava, which means protect. Paschatat, which means from behind or the western direction. Puraha tat, which means from the front or the eastern direction. Uttarat tat, which means from the left direction or the northern direction. Dakshinat tat, which means from the right or the southern direction. Cha, which means also. Urdhvat tat, which means from above. Adharat tat, which means from below. Sarvataha, which means everywhere. Mam, which means me. Pahi, which means protect. Samantat, which means equally. So this stanza is a declaration so that we are protected from all these stated directions and from all sides equally. This stanza also subtly indicates that the Lord is all-pervasive. He is present with the same intensity in every direction. Next verse. Tvam vangmayastvam chinmayaha Tvamanandamayastvam brahmamayah Tvam satchidanandadvitiyosi Tvam pratyaksham brahmasi. Tvam, which means you. Vangmayah, which means full of vak, the power of speech. Chinmayah, which means absolute awareness, pure awareness. Anandamayah, which means absolute bliss. Brahmamayah, which means absolute Brahman, the state of absolute Godhoodness. Sat, which means truth. Chit, which means awareness. Ananda, which means bliss. Advitiyah, which means non-duality. Asi, which means are. So here the stanza means you are verily the manifestation of Vak, absolute awareness, absolute bliss, absolute consciousness. You are the manifestation of Satchidananda, the state of experiential truth and awareness that you are Brahman, which is pure bliss. You are the very manifestation of the state of non-duality, absolute oneness where you are the universe. So here we are glorifying or identifying Lord Ganesha as absolute consciousness itself and all the attributes related to the absolute consciousness. So God state, the state of Godhood or God itself, is that which has all these states as its attributes. Absolute bliss, absolute awareness, and all these attributes that we have mentioned earlier. So now we'll end this video here. So we'll continue with the upcoming verses in the next parts. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching.